Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to Critically Casual, where as soon as I start the show, my internet lags out for at least a second or two. And,
Jesus Christ.
that was, could you hear me through all that?
Eh?
Okay. Hi everybody, my internet's back now. Welcome to Critically Casual. Right as the show starts, I lag. It's perfect. Hi everyone. How's it going today? How are you, Dev?
Going right. I'm doing all right, I think.
All right. You think?
You're lag.
Yes, I am. I am very laggy right now. I'm dropping a lot of frames for some reason.
What the fuck is happening?
I don't know.
You don't have anything running on the side or anything?
I'm double checking and closing everything. Okay, close that, close that, close that, close that. I'm just kidding. Okay, I think I'm good here. So yeah, hi, I'm Srekcuf. This is Dev. As soon as I say it, as soon as I fucking say it, I'm Srekcuf. This is Dev. Internet sucks.
Wait. Hold on. This worked last time. We'll put us in Central, see if that helps.
Okay, we'll see for a second here. Hi, I'm Srekcuf. This is Dev. DorkyDev. This
So,
is Critically
voice is a
Casual.
little robot-y, but the video hasn't lagged.
Okay.
As soon as I fucking say it.
Yeah.
As soon as I fucking say it.
Okay, hang on one sec. I'm minimizing, not minimizing, but double checking. Anything else here is running that I can shut down. I can close you. We're so great at this whole show thing, you know? Like, there's never any problems ever on anything.
How does this always happen?
I don't know. Hang on. I think we're going to disconnect for a second here.
Show, regardless of who's... Yeah.
Yeah.
You better disconnect too.
Yeah, 1 second here.
Not a show on Horror HQ without tech difficulties, right?
I know. It's also true what you said. It doesn't matter who's the host. There's always a problem. There's always a problem.
God.
It really
There's
doesn't
always a
matter.
They're really...
It's just the channel.
How does this happen? How does this always happen, no matter what we do?
If we're going to freak out about it, give me 5 minutes here. Let me restart everything, and then we'll restart the show. How about that? We won't do the music.
We won't do the music. Also, just send me the stuff just in case this doesn't work.
It's going to work fine. The internet's already better. My computer felt afraid. It was threatened by the threat of the internet dropping. Turning it off. It was like, oh, no, I can't turn it. All right. Should I continue? Yeah, I'm going to restart it anyways, just to be safe.
All right. So, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Be right back.
Give us like 2 to 4 minutes.
We'll see. Be right back. We believe we are connected. Try and say something, Dev. Will we lag out as soon as you start talking?
Hold on. All right.
I'm holding.
We're good.
We're there.
Yes, I'm moving.
Mm-hmm. We're
I'm
doing
moving.
things. All right.
So yeah, no, the consequences of the actions. That's why I feel like both these movies just flat out are gonna get reviewed here.
All right. So let's just start talking real quick. He's DorkyDev. I'm Srekcuf. This is Critically Casual. We're starting the show. This week is called Crazy Talk, because you know some people are crazy and they're talking to animals. What the hell's that shit about? You proud of me with that one? Good boy.
That's big oof.
So yeah, the first movie is Dr. Dolittle from 1998 with Eddie Murphy, and then the next movie is Dolittle from 2020 with RDJ.
Yeah.
So
I think you got everything right.
I believe so. Off the top of my head, I'm surprised. Just kidding. So yeah, let's just get started and get going. Because we can, of course. It's not the right thing. Oh, I'm so mad. I went through and I changed all of these. God damn it. Alright, let me double check. I bet the next one's wrong too. Hang on. No, that one's right. Okay. Okay, the first movie is Dr. Dolittle from 1998.
You clicked on movie 3, didn't you?
No, I had clicked on movie 1. What I did last week is I put movie 1, movie 2, and then I switched back to movie 1 for movie 3. Because I wasn't going to make a whole new scene for a third movie. I could change graphics in the middle of a movie, in the middle of a podcast.
That's fair. I'm not saying you can't.
I'm just bad at setting. I can do the one kind of cool thing, technically wise, but I can't do everything else right. It's fine. We're talking about Dr. Dolittle from 1998 with Eddie Murphy and all the funny shenanigans of all the other characters who I don't know. Let me look this.
Well, Dr. Dolittle came out in 1998. Didn't realize it was a PG-13 until I started watching it. And I was like, what the fuck is the rating on this film? It opened. Opening weekend was June 26th of 1998. And so it had a budget of estimated $71.5 million. And opening weekend U.S., it made $29 million. So, about a third of its budget.
Mm-hmm. I was just looking at the IMDb, front page for Dr. Dolittle. And it's funny because the logline, which is the description of the movie, they're trying to hook you in to get you to watch it. The logline is, a doctor discovers that he can communicate with animals. I think that's literally the shortest logline ever written. I'm exaggerating here, but that's literally, we've just summarized the whole movie for you. That's it. We're done. Congratulations. Don't get me wrong. It was okay and very outdated for its humor.
Did you read the other one?
Well, the next description, the summary and things. What? No.
Dolittle, a physician, discovers that he can talk to animals.
So much goes on in this movie that it's just hard to describe with words,
The other one, that's not even accurate. I'm not even going to get into that yet. We'll get into that later. No, this one, that is the plot of the movie, and you know what? It surprisingly didn't, it aged really well.
This movie?
Yeah.
I'm on the fence about that myself. The techniques for the movie, sure, but what was going on in the movie, not so much, to my opinion.
Okay, well, I mean in the sense of, this film could have been a lot worse because it came out in 98, which I know people complain, PC culture this, PC culture that, but, a lot of that is also because people are becoming more understanding that, hey, some of the jokes that were being made before are at the harm of other people. This film really doesn't do that.
Well, I didn't think they were really harming other people, but I thought some of the jokes weren't that clever or funny anymore.
Oh, well, no, not like that. But I'm more saying, I'm saying they didn't do that.
Yeah, okay.
What I'm talking about. The jokes, though some of them dumb, still aged well. You know what I mean? You could tell these same jokes today.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes you could, but because a lot of these are just kind of just stereotypes in a way, but not cliche stereotypes that you can think of.
In what way?
You're
talking about animal stereotypes?
No, so the voices coming out of the animals are stereotypes, but the animals themselves are not stereotypes of the voices.
Oh well, yeah. I think they just needed to give them distinct accents from each other because if you didn't, it'd just be a bunch of American voices all at once, which with
Sure, I can give you that because it's just
with
we've got 20 animals all just staring at the camera, and I hear just a cacophony of voices. Why do they all sound like rich white people?
you wouldn't be able to distinct them from each other
Yeah.
too much. All right, like.
I kind of get it, but like, I don't know. Like
I'll say this: their voices that the voices that they're stereotyped from are more, in my opinion, accents because their actions aren't based off of the voices.
Mhm.
If that makes sense, like they aren't stereotyped by the voice they had, which is weirdly progressive for a 1998 film.
Sure. I mean, I'll give you that. Sure.
Because it could have been really easy for them to do that shit that, like, Michael Bay did, in 2005 with Transformers 2. With the twins. And that shit.
That is very true. They could have done something super blatant and in your face like that, but thankfully.
But they don't. And they could have. I'm just saying, like, this could have aged much worse. Is more how I'm putting this.
That's true. It could have been much worse. It could have been like, I don't know, what movie am I thinking of? The movie where he plays all the same characters.
Oh yeah. Shit, hold on. It might be on this.
You just
List
scroll.
Nope, it's not on the list of similar films. Damn it.
The Nutty Professor?
Yes. That one probably hasn't aged that well. We are doing it. Back off.
Okay, it's fine. I'll just watch that as a guilty pleasure some other time.
No, for me, it's more that, like... And I forgot how much actual, like... There's a lot of swearing in this film.
Mm-hmm. My only complaints is just some of the, like, in the next movie that we watch, I feel like what's talked about from person to animal makes a little more sense than what's talked about from person to animal in this movie, because, like, let's be completely honest here. How likely is it that a dog who lives with a fat lady would be like, damn, look at this fat ass when she's at a pound, like, if he lives with this woman all the time?
Well, yeah, I'm not defending that. What do you
Like-
think this is?
Like, some of this,
No, I'm more saying...
I just feel like this is, like, it's not bad in the sense that it doesn't hold up to, like, modern times, and it's not racist, it's not super stereotypical or anything. I just think it's low comedy humor at times.
At times, but also at times I think that some of the humor isn't terrible. Like, there are some moments where I'm like, you know what, that was good. Good job. I don't remember off the top of my head because today's been a weird blur. I watched both of these today, and, like, it's been a like.
I was like, try watching the third one, the very first one as well, like I did today as well.
I said,
Brave.
fair enough. I said, nope, I ain't doing that. You're funny.
Yeah. I watched the original 1968 version just because I was curious, so I'd have a line to talk about when we get to spoilers.
No, for me, like, this is this film. I'm not saying this film is good. Is this a kids film? Like, it's PG-13. Like, I'm really confused at who this was directed to.
I would not let my kids watch this. Like, don't get me wrong.
Right?
Like,
I remember watching this as a kid, though.
yeah, like, things that are said and like, it's not overtly wrong or anything. It's just crude, I guess. And yeah. I wouldn't want, like, maybe a teenager I would let watch this. Maybe, like, 12 at the youngest.
Oh, I'd probably let it, like, an 8-year-old.
Maybe 8? Okay, maybe 8 I'd give.
But I was watching, like, Matrix at, like, 8, so...
Well, yeah, because Matrix is cool. This isn't.
This is but Matrix funny. Matrix and Matrix Reloaded had a lot of... And the last one, I can't remember what it was called.
Did you see the animated
Revolution.
ones?
I watched that when I was probably like 8 or 9. I saw some of that stuff. Man, um, impressionable young minds be influenced by that shit. No, it was so like again, I wouldn't let like my if I had a kid, I wouldn't let them watch it until like after they were like 7, 8. You know,
Mhm.
there's a lot more cuss words than I remembered in this film. Like, there's a lot of damn, it's a lot of a lot of words that like I wouldn't want my younger children saying, out of out in school or something like that.
Mhm.
Like, no.
No, yeah, I 100% agree with you. There are things that I definitely wouldn't want the little ones to say. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think there's anything overtly wrong with it's just weird because where the line is drawn in this movie keeps fluctuating. Because
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know what the
it
reason
like
is specifically.
it's not quite committed to being a teen film, but it's not quite committed to being a kids film, and like it's got some humor that works for adults, but not enough, and
Mhm.
just like it's it's
And the whole thing, like,
weird bubble.
yeah, and the whole point of this movie, like, if I had to boil it all down, it's essentially just be yourself is the point of this movie. Like, that's the whole moral of the story. Be yourself. Be who you're meant to be. But it does it really convey that message very well? Is the question.
Not till the end.
Yeah, not till the very end when he's accepted for what he's done. But I don't know. All in all, what I have to say about this movie is like it's totally fine. I'd probably end up watching it again at some point, but I just wasn't quite as impressed as what I was when I watched it in the past. You know, my sense of humor is sophisticated a little bit.
Oh yeah, totally. Um, you've become more cynical and
Yes,
less willing to just let films slide. Um,
it's a good way to put it.
Wait, it's the only way I know how to describe how your film taste has changed.
I'm bitter and evil.
You're the movie villain now. I'm the the people's champ,
Yeah.
defender of the film until the film is inexcusable. High death note. Um, but like, no, this film is just it's serviceable, is how I would put it. Like this film is like it's a serviceable film for an audience that I'm not quite sure it knows what its audience is. Like, it's,
Its audience is Eddie Murphy fans. That's basically it, I would guess. Like, don't get me wrong, because the premise of this movie was a man could talk to animals, and that's literally all they did with it. Is this man can suddenly talk to animals, and that's not a bad thing by any means. It's just that it needs a little bit more to it. There's not enough humor in there to quite get me to relax over the funnies and like what's kind of missing, which is a more, I guess, thought out plot line, and I'm not gonna say better characters because the characters are ultimately fine, I guess, but
yeah, it's just kind of like I said, this film is seriously just serviceable. Like, I don't know how else to put it. You know what I mean?
just the
Like,
most average movie out there.
it's really like dead average. I don't know how else to put it. Like, I its humor isn't groundbreaking, but it isn't horrible. It's it's serviceable. It's a and I guess it also works for it that it is only an hour and 25 minutes. I think that's why, like, if this film was longer,
Mm.
I think I would have problems with it.
Like, I'm not even. The main things I'm having problem with are saying like the plots and things. I'm not even talking about some technical issues that I thought were blatantly obvious, and not technical issues necessarily. VFX is more how I should put it. I thought it was very obvious when it was a green screen animal, a real animal, or a puppet. And
No,
don't get me wrong, I'm not going to hold that against the movie only because that's the effects of the time. That being said, there's better green screen that can be done. But I'm just gonna talk about how I'm disappointed with the storytelling and
Well, I'll
the
say this
humor.
also. The movie only had a budget of 70 million. Like,
Sometimes.
that's not a
No, go
that's
ahead.
not a huge budget for this kind of film. Like, hold on, let me pull up a film from this time that had probably a way better budget. Ooh, oh, got
Like
it.
the big offender
Dinner's
for
ready.
me. No
Hold
worries.
on, let me pull up
Like the
this.
big offender scene for me is one is when he first encounters what's the animal's name? I'll say the name of the animal
What animal is it?
as to not spoil what part of the movie. I'm just kidding. It's the tiger.
Oh,
Like the first time we see the tiger, not the first time they're face to face, fake, and that kind of bugs me. The other time is when they were in front of when all the animals were in front of the hospital or whatever the place was.
all right. I'm gonna shut my mouth. I can't defend this anymore.
Okay.
My example doesn't work. You win.
Okay.
Straight up.
Yay!
This movie had more of this budget. This movie had a higher budget than Jurassic Park.
Yes, and Jurassic Park is amazing. So that being said, Eddie Murphy's funny. All the voice actors and stuff that they got in there kind of helped a little bit.
I feel like they did pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
voice actor wise.
One thing,
They had some recognizable people. You have oh, where is he? You have Norm Macdonald as Lucky the dog.
mm-hmm,
Um,
easily the most recognizable part of this movie.
um, other than Chris Rock as the fucking hamster Rodney.
Mm-hmm.
You had John Leguizamo as Rat Number 2.
Was that the one that died?
Yeah. I think that was the one with the
Yeah.
with the accent.
Ah, yes.
He, you had like just for a brief moment. I think if I can find her.
Oh, I didn't realize this one, but I thought the voice was familiar. The baby tiger, Jonathan Lipnicki.
Wait,
Wow.
where? I don't see it.
Towards the very bottom. It's like right above rest of cast listed alphabetically.
Oh. Oh. Didn't even realize he was in there.
Oh, there was also Gilbert Gottfried. He was pretty obvious.
Oh
Just-
yeah. Did you notice Ellen DeGeneres?
Yes, right in the very beginning.
Yeah. Like I heard that, I was like, oh, that's Ellen.
I was like, "Hi, Dory."
Yeah, that's exactly how my brain went. Ah, Dory. Jenna Elfman is in this. From Dharma and Grey.
Sure.
As the owl. Some of these characters, like, I feel like they're here for a second and then gone, and then show up later. Like, it's just the the movie needs to be longer, but it doesn't need to be longer.
Yeah, like
You know?
one of the problems that I have with many movies is just the fact that there are too many characters. And this movie, don't get me wrong, like other movies, when I have a problem with the too many character thing, is because they're trying to give too much development to too many characters. This movie, the too many character thing is not that they're trying to give up too much story to develop all these stuff. It's just that every moment, everywhere you look, it's just like, hey, there's another animal. Hey, there's another animal. Hey, there's another animal. Hey, that animal would be interesting to get to know. No, we're on to this animal. Okay. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
that's just, they needed to focus a little bit more, I guess. But seeing as the point wasn't about learning from these animals or what they did, it was just to put in as many cameos as they could in animal form.
Some of them weren't even like cameos because at the time, some of them weren't even that like. They were known, but they weren't like as big as they would be today standards. You know what I mean?
I get you.
I don't know. This movie's confusing. It's just it doesn't quite make. And then all like Paul Giamatti just shows up in it at one point. And it's just Paul Giamatti as Blaine, the psychiatrist.
That's right.
Like, I'm just like, what? He walked in the door. I'm like, holy shit! I forgot he was in this film entirely. I mean, it's Paul goddamn Giamatti. He's. This is the second film that I've seen him, and I'm like, man, why are you here? The first being when we did Amazing Spider-Man 2. That was another one that we were like, why are you here?
Why are you in this movie, man?
You're better than this. I don't know. It's just a serviceable film, and cemented Eddie Murphy as also being a really good, like, kids actor, I guess. Kid-friendly actor, because before this,
Yeah,
wasn't
there weren't quite
as
so
kid-friendly.
Yeah, he wasn't quite so friendly with the families, you know. So I guess.
Beverly Hills Cop and all that, you know.
So anything else you'd like to talk about, Dev?
There's not much to say about this film. It's short, it's simple, it's average.
It's very average. So, in that case, I'm gonna give you your 10 popcorn kernels.
I'm gonna give this a dead average.
Which is
5.
5. Nice. Okay. I'm trying to think, like, what other movies in recent history have gotten a 5 off the top of my head. I'm not gonna look, because other than me giving movies a low score, this doesn't normally happen. Because I was also gonna get. 5's fine. I'll also just give this movie a 5. It's
Fair enough.
okay.
It's serviceable. that is what we will call it.
Sure.
It is serviceable.
Just like all those animals, you know, they'll get the job done.
I hate you.
All right, let's start talking about our next movie. Our fun little tidbit of all the, you know, speaking of animals and stuff. Let's.
All right. You started off. I'll be right back.
All right, no worries. So yeah, we're gonna start talking about Dolittle, and also hi Bulldog, who's in the chat. Speaking of animals, so Dolittle. This movie came out very recently. It's RDJ as the main, playing off super awesome man of Robert Downey Jr. I'm just kidding, of John Dolittle. It is also a little bit of a coming back to the original story of Dr. Dolittle. Ooh, look at that food. So, for those of you who don't know, the very original Dr. Dolittle movie was actually released in 1968. 1998 version with Eddie Murphy was a remake of the 1968 version, and not many people know that. Like, for instance, I had to let one of my friends from college know that very recently when he was like, man, weren't you disappointed that they whitewashed Dr. Dolittle? I was like, excuse me?
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, excuse me. Let me enlighten you that that's not quite true. But, yeah. So, this is kind of in a way, it's both a retelling of the original story, but also just a whole new story of a man who was a doctor can now talk to animals. And
no, he's a physician.
Sure, he's a physician.
Discovers he can talk to animals, which is so wrong, because he's known he's able to talk to animals in this. And it's not even that he discovers, it's more he learns how to... It's...
Like, in the original movie, the 1968 one, since I'm just going to spoil that one, since that one's 41 years old. No, 61 years old. I'm just kidding. And it's not that old, but still. It's an old movie, so it doesn't matter. In that movie, he's a doctor who, after one day of really bad appointments with patients, where a woman who's super rich is upset that they found a mouse in her home, gets covered in mice, and like a guy with a bad foot has things fall over him, and like all this random stuff happens. He decides he doesn't want to be a doctor for humans anymore, so he talks to his parrot, which teaches him how to talk to animals. And like over time in the movie, we learn that he could talk to more and more animals and whatever. In this movie, it just kind of establishes right away that hey, there's a doctor. He talks to animals, and they used to go on adventures. And then they just kind of hop in from there. And this movie is what I would call a totally fine movie. I laughed more in this movie than I did in like the other Dolittle movie, but at the same time, I was a little more like I was both simultaneously impressed but a little more disappointed.
I groaned more at this one with some of the jokes.
Yeah, there are a lot more.
Also, what era do you want to be in, bro? Like, I'm sorry. John Cena saying bro?
I know it's it's hard to tell what time period we're in this movie. But there's some really ridiculous stuff that happens. There's some jokes that are dumb. Like, I really, really wish we didn't have that one fart joke. And I'm pretty sure you know which one fart joke I'm talking about.
My god.
Like, I was like, just...
It was gratuitous.
Mm-hmm. I was just like, why does it... I was thinking, maybe there'll be one movie in recent history where there's not a fart joke. No, it hasn't. But...
That's comedy related? Well, is this really comedy? Is this supposed to be a comedy?
Yeah, it's an action-adventure comedy.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Oddly enough...
Watch a Marvel film. Marvel films don't really make fart jokes.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the other Dolittle movie is considered a fantasy film. This one, according to this, is not.
I would flip the two, honestly.
I would too.
Flip comedy on... Well, I would leave comedy in this, but I would flip...
I would take away action, maybe put adventure comedy and fantasy.
Yeah. The other one I would just put comedy family, maybe? Question mark? Not really fantasy.
No, I wouldn't really call it a fantasy. But I was both impressed with this movie because they kind of do a little bit more with the concept from both the films. Like, they did more from the 68 version, they did more with the concept from the 98 version. They took an idea, they ran with it, but they took it to an extreme, to a part that I was like, that's just a little too much.
Yeah, it's a little, like, you know what? It gets a little Fast and Furious.
Yes, really does. And to me, the part that was most disappointing was not that it was just kind of outlandish. It was the fact that it was fairly predictable in what was going to happen next. Like, this whole movie, like, we've used the term a hero's journey before, right? Like,
yeah.
This is literally just textbook hero's journey, where you start...
Okay, there's nothing wrong with their hero's journey.
It's not, but I was still disappointed with, like, their approach to using the hero's journey and putting it into the context of, like, this outlandish kind of just over-the-top ridiculousness that could...
Well, I wouldn't even consider this a hero's journey, though. This is a redemption arc for him.
Well, in a way, yes.
This would be a hero's journey with only the third act.
What I mean by a hero's journey is the format of the movie and how it goes. And what that is the start of the movie is life as normal. Then the events kick off. Something happens to make the movie start. Then we kind of get a little bit more backstory. The next part is something traumatic happens when you think I'm boiling it down simply, but something traumatic happens where you think all hope is lost. Then at some point, a wise old mentor is supposed to show up and get you back on your journey and kind of get you reinvigorated for things that are going on. And then they get to the climax of the film where you succeed, and then we go back to life as normal. And that's a lot of movies, don't get me wrong. But this one I felt was literally just, like, there's 12 points in that circle.
Yeah. Your basic summary of hero's journey is all movies.
That literally it is every movie. But this one felt a little too obvious to me. This is literally something. There's a whole book called The Hero's Journey, and it's about the structure and formula of practically every movie made nowadays. This is something I studied.
Yeah, but I've gone over the hero's journey before, but usually it's like as I pull it up real quick on the always credible Wikipedia.
Yes.
There's the departure, the intention, and the return.
Mm-hmm.
Which, breaks up to different parts. The call of an adventure, the refusal of the call, the meeting the mentor, the crossing of the first threshold, the belly of the whale.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion is this one doesn't exactly have a lot of that because it almost starts like it almost starts at like what feels like what would be the third act of that. Because if you look at it, like, I'll compare to this. If you compare it to Star Wars, all right,
Okay.
Star Wars is all three of these. Is all three breaks into this, right? You have the departure, which is New Hope. You have intention, which is Empire, and you have return, which is Return.
But simultaneously, at the same time, each one of those movies has all of these things in there.
Somewhat.
Somewhat, yes.
Parts of it, but not to the point that, like, not to the point that I would say this is a hero, like, all three of them over that stretch, I would call the hero's journey. I wouldn't call each one individually the hero's journey.
There is, in each movie, there is a journey that, yes, I would say yes, that each one of those movies has these exact plot points at some point in each one of those movies. While overarchingly, each one of those cover those exact same things as well. Like, sure, movie 1, movie 2, movie 3 are first, second threshold, third threshold. But, like, say, for instance, let me look up a quick summary so I'm not getting the movies mixed up. But, like, the very first movie, episode 4, the very first movie, is...
Oh, you need a summary for this film? Let me just pull up my doctorates in Star Wars.
Yes, totally. So, like, in that movie, the call to adventure is him finding R2-D2 and C-3PO. The denial of the call is when he leaves Obi-Wan Kenobi. The dive into the first threshold is when his parents die. Aunt, uncle, my apologies. The dive into the crossing of the second threshold, the midpoint, is when they stumble across Han Solo. Let's see.
I would say, if you're going to break that down, that would be getting onto the Death Star.
Sure. We'll give it that way. And when Obi-Wan Kenobi dies. Let's see, the crossing of the third threshold, the sacrifice, that's when Obi-Wan Kenobi dies. That's when, like, all hope is lost. Everything seems like they're going to lose, and, like, they don't know what they're going to do. And then we have the climax of the film, where they go and they destroy the Death Star, and then they have a return to normal when they kind of just end the film.
But in that one, there is no return to normal.
In a way, there is. Like, because the normal before for him was not fighting. At this point in time, there's less of a fight happening. So it's a win for us, and it's a quote-unquote return to normal.
That's fair. But for me, how I look at it is that a return to normal is him not having to fight. So the next day, especially if you go off of, canon stuff, he's fighting. Like, Battle of Yavin wasn't over. So, like, my opinion on it is that there's that, like, yeah, you sort of get those things, but at the same time, it doesn't end at a return because Leia can't return to normal. Her home world's destroyed. Han can't return to normal because he's now tied into this rebellion when he's got bounties on him now. He hasn't. He didn't go back to pay the bounty. And Luke can't go back to normal because, his aunt and uncle are dead. There ain't no normal there. And the closest normal they get is at the end when they defeat the Emperor, because they can, not right away, but they can start to go back to a form of normalcy.
Mm-hmm. I get you. And I see what you're talking about, but at the same time, in each one of these movies, the whole point of the hero's journey is just a basic, this is basically what each and every movie is going to be like. If you look at it, if you boil it down to its simplest form, this is what the movies are. And
you can say that about anything.
Yes, that's 100% true.
Well, then your goddamn complaint about creativity and needing something new will always be wrong. I'm joking with you.
I was about to say, my argument here is because this is so hero's journey, I don't like it that much.
One of the story. All right, but
Like,
play
there
devil's
are other
advocate
stories
here.
where you can switch things around, and you can switch around the order of events and things are fine. Or you could change what their hero is doing. Or, like, other things. It's just...
I'm playing devil's advocate
Go for
here,
it.
all right?
Ask me the question.
All right?
Because you like to question me when all I'm coming up is with opinions, but sure, go ahead.
No, I know you have
I know.
opinions. I like picking
Hit
your
me.
brain.
Hit me.
Alright,
Ask
so-
me.
You know, I've lost it now. I'm sorry. Like, you pushed it off so much that my brain lost it, and I hate you for it.
Okay. Like, what I was trying to get at here is just that, and sometimes I can excuse if I think the story is being too obvious in where it's going to go. But because this movie doesn't do anything super special, because this movie has some kind of outlandish Need for Speed-esque events happening, like...
You always do that, by the way. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Fast and Furious.
Sure.
You always do Need for Speed. I'm like, that's a fucking video game.
There's a movie about that, too.
One doesn't... Stop. They aren't even related.
Fast and Furious-esque movie.
Yeah, there you go. All right, I can accept that.
Thank you. But still, like, I just, like, one of my biggest complaints for this movie was, let's see, I left my notebook downstairs, god damn it. I had written down notes. But yeah, I guess just, like I said, it was just that I thought it was too a little overtly obvious, and just nothing else really kind of covered that up for me. I was the only one who even chuckled in my theater, and
That's fair. No one chuckled in my theater, including me.
like, this was not a good movie if you really think about it. And like modern
Oh,
era,
no.
this, don't get me wrong, it's not Cats, because many people had said that this possibly the next Cats.
Oh,
No.
God, no. Cats was a mess.
Yeah, this is, I would say, many times better than Cats. Like,
Much more enjoyable.
yes. And a lot of it has to do with RDJ to me. Because just his performance is fun and zany, and it
Oh,
kinda
also,
works
I forgot
out.
to say, this film, I forgot to say director, anyways, budget of, estimated holy shit, $175 million, and opening weekend only made 21 US.
Yeah, this was not a good movie.
Ooh, that's not gonna go well. I don't know. They're not gonna break even on just the estimated budget for the film itself, much less advertising.
Mm-hmm.
This was also directed by and written by Stefan Gaghan.
I'll say yes.
All right. I'll take it then. No, like my problems with this film more come from the fact that it's just like the way people talk in it.
It doesn't feel era appropriate.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Like everyone, like our humans are all proper English, except for Robert Downey Jr., who's like Scottish sometimes and sometimes not. The accent's not great in
Yeah, you're
this.
not
It like disappears partway through as to if he's English or Scottish
He
or
just kind of
what.
gave up and started talking. That's
Yeah, with a there's nothing to fear. He sort of goes like slightly British towards the end of this film. And like all the animals, like they all have very American accents. Like
I mean,
all of them.
you mean to tell me that Rami Malek had an American accent? I'm just kidding. Or no, John Cena, I 100% agree with. Tom Holland.
He wasn't. It was hit or miss.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
He
I
wasn't
can't
in
tell
the
if he was
movie.
British or not.
Yeah, he wasn't in the movie much, so it's like
I don't remember. I don't remember if he was or not.
Let's see. The others kind of were pretty American-esque. Like Craig Robinson, he was very much. Selena Gomez, very much American.
She's only in the film for like 2 minutes.
I know. Which, the one that my thing that kind of bugged me was there was a point in this movie where they kind of had to tell us that they didn't have to tell us that they told us that okay, we've wrapped up this plot point, this plot point, this plot point, and this plot point, but now my plot point is done. And like I was like, it took me a moment to realize, okay, I guess that they were trying to make these important in this movie. I guess that was, and then that had me questioning the whole "is there too many characters" thing again. Like, does this movie have too many characters that are actually trying to be developed? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I need to turn my volume down. No, I can agree with that because like Polly stays the same throughout the film, played by Emma Thompson.
Totally fine.
Chi-Chi, Rami's character, changes, which his arc makes sense. The Yoshi, the bear, played by John Cena, and Pimpleton, the ostrich, played by
Mail Nanjiani.
Yes. Thank you. Have this like weird budding bromance story, sort of, that like isn't really an arc, but it's an arc.
Yeah, like I don't know why it's an arc, but they decided to bring it up. But the thing that bugs me is they decided to bring it up, but they also intentionally put like it was kind of figured out. And I was like, what's the point of even bringing that up if you're like, we're done with it. We're done with that storyline. We don't need that anymore.
Was it really was there a problem with it? Was there a problem before? Was like because they didn't really like.
Yeah, I guess part of it wasn't the problem was the bromance. The problem I think was Plimpleton's demeanor. I guess his attitude.
But it doesn't really change.
He's more willing to help people.
Is he? He passes out the next time he's needed for help.
No, I get you. But according to the movie, it's fine. Mostly.
Is it? I don't know. Yes, I was playing Devil Advocate earlier, but I'm not really going to defend this film because, like, it's a serviceable film.
To me, the thing that kind of disappoints the most is just kind of, it feels partially out of left field what happens in the climax of this movie.
Dude, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Because you spoiled it for me, motherfucker.
The trailer spoiled it, for one.
I didn't see that trailer.
And for two, the movie drops it once in the movie.
It really does. And I saw him like, oh, so it really is happening. All right. Why?
And it happens, and you're like, okay. All right. Sure. Which, don't get me wrong, I thought what happened at this point was kind of okay. Because it's a very good character moment to show what our Dolittle, like what his purpose is, and like why he's doing the thing he does. So, especially in the face of danger, like, I thought that was kind of interesting. It shows how, like, devoted to his character he is, I guess. Which I kind of appreciated. But at the same time, I was like, are you kidding me? It could have been anything else. Literally anything else.
You find this secret hidden island, and there's this, it's just,
Yeah. So,
and also, the CG is serviceable at moments and sometimes not.
I feel like they took the complaint everyone had about Lion King, about the animals being too photoreal, and they just took it to the extreme. They Fast and Furious did a little bit to make them a little too cartoony.
Well, I'm fine with them being cartoony. My problem with the CG is when it was people. Because then it's noticeable. Because if you just turn off your brain and just go like, all right, this is how this world looks, all right? People look like people, and the animals are
high contrast and extra sharp.
Yeah.
And really animated.
Okay, that's the world we live in.
Kind of sad.
And then the people become CG, and I'm like, that's noticeable to me because they look like the animals now. I'm like, and they didn't look like the animals before. And that's always my biggest complaint is when there isn't CGI consistency. Because if you're gonna make a person do CGI, you need to make them look like a person and not like the animals.
You know what's kind of interesting? It's that humans have gotten to the point where we can make wax figures look more like real people than we can make computers make real people. And I think I've said that once before. I feel like I have.
I feel like it's partially debatable.
Like, maybe
I've seen some of Max figurines. They're not great.
not always.
We can make people look like wax figurines really easy. Especially if the person is kind of cartoonish. Hi, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Please don't beat my ass.
He's
seen
like
that video,
80.
right?
You could beat. Oh, yes, I've seen that.
Yeah. But like, there's, I don't know. There's a weirdness to this film that I don't quite get. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't quite make sense. It doesn't add up, and it's just, I don't know.
Like, I thought it was very. It had a lot of charm, is the way I'll put it. Is like this. It felt like it, like the characters and their interactions were nice, and it felt happy at times. But other than that, this movie doesn't really do too much. There's not a really deep story. There's not any complex villains or anything like that. There's a lot of just sudden left turns, or would it be right turns if we're talking NASCAR? And I don't know. It's just, it was fine. It just feels like they thought they could bring people into this movie based off of star power.
Yeah, I feel that too. Like, yeah.
And then they didn't really do too much else about it.
No.
Especially like with the animals. If they've talked a little more period-esque, I would be a little happier with it. But
They don't. They are so.
It's just the absurdity that's supposed to be what's funny.
The fact that John Cena Bear says bro in what is supposed to be Elizabethan era?
Yes, I'll say. I mean, it's the Queen of England, and I know we still have Queens of England now and all, but they're riding around in horse and buggy, so I don't think they called people bro in horse and buggy era.
As far as I know, there wasn't.
I mean, animals might. They could have a completely far advanced dialogue. Who knows? It could have been the year 1990 when they were saying dank and memes and stuff, man.
1990 did not say dank and memes. I'm gonna hit you.
No, like animals said dank and meme. Only because they're saying it now.
Shut up. I hate you. No, they're gonna be in 1990. They're saying something that would be like close to 100 to 200 years later, right? So it's something way futuristic that we don't get. Like, what's it in Batman Beyond? Oh God. Let me type it up real quick. Batman.
I know in Mass Effect, or not Mass Effect, in Battlestar Galactica, they call everything slag.
There's that. On.
I'm holding.
Dreg. There's like drag. Oh, what is it? Damn it! There was like one word that like was it drag? I think drag was their like. No.
It doesn't seem quite right. I mean, it could be a derogatory term, I guess, depending on how your tone is used.
Oh, like slag. Slag was radical in Batman Beyond. Totally slag, dude.
Oh God. Yeah, so that's totally what the animals were doing in 1990.
And then they switched it up when Batman Beyond came out with like, well, we gotta say something else now.
Yeah,
they're gonna get.
Yeah, it's just too popular now. Can we go on the ratings?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you your popcorn.
Oh God, that conversation. Okay, so this movie, I will give it a 5.5. I will make it just slightly better than the last movie, because I think it is slightly better than the last movie. That being said, that's just a little too much. And too little at the same time.
This is gonna be the first time we've done this in a while, but I feel I'm on par with you. Like
5s and 5.5. This is a show where we completely agree, even though we yelled and nodded at each other.
It's been a while since we had one of these.
Right? What is this? Like episode 3 of the podcast?
Jesus Christ. Fuck yeah! I mean, pretty much, right? Oh my god.
So, can you hit the button?
Let's get ready to spoiler!
Alright, we don't need your dubstep remix here, Dev.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Womp 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 womp. Alright, so spoilers for Dr. Dolittle, or Dolittle, my apologies. So if you want to watch this movie without being spoiled, now's your chance to leave. Alright, they're gone.
There's a dragon.
There's a fucking dragon! And not only is there one dragon, this dragon is constipated. And it's heartbroken over its dead lover dragon. Which, we don't know why that lover dragon's dead.
No context to that.
No. My guess is it died of constipation.
Seems to be killing the other one, so
Yeah.
good guess.
The one thing that I thought was kind of cool about that sequence was the fact that, like, when Robert Downey Jr. touches the wall, and it starts to glow green, and it spreads out everywhere, and it's like, wow, nothing's happening, except for, oh, now they know we're here. And then the bad guy, which, what's his name?
Dr. Blair Mudfly.
With the umlaut over the, German umlaut. Yes, that's a joke in the movie. Played by Michael Sheen. His whole thing is he doesn't have a chin, and he's jealous of Dr. Dolittle for being a prodigy doctor.
Jealous to the point he's willing to kill the queen.
Yes.
What the fuck?
So,
I'm like,
and did you
that
see
is
the mid-credit
outlandish.
scene?
Yes.
Yeah. So the thing that I was really upset about before the movie ended was the fact that he dies just by falling down a cliff, and I was like, "Oh, that's it. That's all that happens to him. He doesn't get his comeuppance from a fucking dragon. Like, that's fine, sure, whatever." And then we see him in the mid-credit scene where he's being, I guess, eaten alive by bats.
Maybe? It's not really. It's left open for a sequel.
He's gonna be Batman.
He's gonna be Morbius.
That was my next joke. I was just like, wait, no, he's Michael Morbius.
Beat you there, buddy. Yeah, no, it's... Yeah, no, this film is, got a fucking dragon, and it's got whale.
That was the part that
Towing.
really... That was, like, I was gonna forgive the dragon, honestly. But the fucking whale towing. Like... I'm totally fine with him being able to talk to animals, but how is he instantly best friends with every single animal that he meets to the point where they'll be like, yeah, I'll tow your boat away from live cannon fire. No problem.
Yeah, no problem, bro.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that moment, like, I thought it was pretty interesting because I was like, no. I thought it was like, they'll use the whale to just push the back of the boat and then they'll be totally fine, right? That's all they wanted, right? And no, they have the whole ship thing and the whole harness, and then they have to throw in the whole, what's his name, Chi-Chi being afraid. So
Also, how the fuck did Robert Downey Jr. get back to the boat? There's no way. Where he comes up, there's no way.
no, the only way it's possible is maybe he was pulling himself up the whole time, but not with that amount of time that he had, based on what we saw. So,
unless he grabbed the back of the boat, crawled across the side of the boat, and then pulled himself up there. Which seems really excessive for a beat in the movie.
Yeah, I just need to be dramatic here. Dramatic entrance, helmet first. Alright.
Which also doesn't make sense then, because he would have had to been grabbing the boat and the line wouldn't have broken. Because there wouldn't have been that much weight on it.
He grabbed right as the line snapped. It was totally fine.
But that doesn't make sense.
No, what I told... No, you're right.
No matter how you look at this, something doesn't add up.
How Victorian era talking man can reach to a dragon, doesn't that up to you?
Dude, oh God. Like,
What was there any character?
they made the dragon fart, dude.
I know, right? It's okay, totally doable. Everyone does it. It's totally acceptable.
But they were so gratuitous.
Even to the point that Craig Robinson's the squirrel could taste it.
What was his fucking deal? Jesus Christ.
That was something I was disappointed with. Like, his whole thing was he was traumatized that he was going to get murdered again or shot again.
Again, what era is this? He saw a nuke.
Yes, that for one. He saw a nuke going off.
What the fuck?
And two, nothing ever happens with that afterwards. It's just a running joke now where he's just like, these people are crazy and we're after a magical fruit. I guess he's supposed to be like our passive bystander in this world, but I don't entirely know.
Is he passive though? I don't really think he's passive.
He just kind of goes along for the ride. He doesn't really do anything in this movie, and that's important.
I don't know, man.
He's just supposed to be our voice of reason, you know?
It's not even. I don't.
Okay. But, yeah, so I thought Blair Mudfly, he was kind of dumb because he wasn't really impactful and he's just really jealous of Dolittle. I thought the dragon was dumb because it really kind of just comes out of nowhere for this magical fruit that exists on this lost island that you can't map for some reason, even though there's a journal on how to find it. And also...
Well, she never returned with it to get it mapped.
Yes, but she still managed to get there, and on the journey back, she died, and Antonio Banderas, who I was surprised was in this movie.
I wasn't because I saw him in the trailer.
I did not. If I did, I didn't pay attention to that part. But I was like, why is he in this movie? And how is he related to Lily? Oh, he's the father. Alright, cool. What is Small World? Like...
All the places he has to go.
Everybody knows each other.
Which it's
even
a really freaky coincidence that actually happens way more often than people actually think it does. Because it happens to me all the fucking time now.
I thankfully haven't run into anybody I know from high school or college or from...
Oh, not like that. I mean, like, Small World isn't like... I'll put it, like, Twitch community-wise. Like, I'll be like, yeah, I watched this and this. And then, like, oh, yeah, I've hung out there for years. I'm like, I've hung out there for years. What?
Oh, when you just meet somebody at an event and you're like, oh, I live like a block away from you. Something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. That's happened. I don't know, man. Small world syndrome. The real thing.
Do you have a favorite person in this movie at all? Like, was there a favorite voice or, like, person?
I'll say Harry Collette was pretty good as Tommy.
Tommy. Okay. I could give you that. Tommy Stubbins. That was actually something that I thought was kind of funny because, well, not funny. Stubbins was the name of the boy from the original 1968 movie as well. So, they kept that at least, so that's fun. They kept a lot of the names, and some of the characters, just, they changed what happens in the story. As far as I know. Stubbins is fine.
Other than that, I don't really, like, none of the characters really stand out to me. Does that make sense? Maybe Barry, but that'd be the closest.
Barry's one of the things where I was like, he was one of the characters that I was like, you should have just cut Barry. Like, why is there, like, he was funny, sure, only because he's a mentally unstable, murderous cat. But, for one, how the hell...
He gives Scar a run for his money.
Yes, but for one, like, it's weird to think that this cat is so mentally unstable that even Antonio Banderas, a person who doesn't know how to communicate or care really about this cat, well, I mean, he probably cares, still knows that it's mentally insane. But I thought it was just like, it was one of the many things we could have done without, because it was, that scene was only really important so we could have development for Chi-Chi. And sure, it was fine because we needed that story beat for Chi-Chi, but for the overall story beat for RDJ and Dr. Dolittle, not needed. So I was like, we could have just cut that and done something else there instead, or like maybe done something else to develop our characters, because they just had to make a joke about big cats. I'll just, ooh, what's that? I even love how the music changed. That was kind of cute. I'll give them that part.
Yeah.
But still, it's just dumb jokes.
Unneeded. I don't know. This movie, again, just kind of serviceable. Like,
That's why we gave it a 5.5.
it's not over the top enough to be, like, truly entertaining, but it's not underwhelming enough to be, like, a snooze fest. And it's not bad enough to be, like, me able to really rant at it. It just kind of exists.
One thing that I did like, just, I guess, Dr. Dolittle in this movie was very much just his own person, where he wasn't afraid to just go out and stick his face in an aquarium to talk to a squid. Like, that's one thing I liked, where he was just okay with just being himself. But at the same time, it was those weird instances where, like, does it really have to be that? Which, for instance, when he sticks his face in the aquarium and talks to the squid just to talk to it, that was established as a rule in the 1968 movie, where talking to fish and things underwater only really works if you're underwater. You can't talk to them if you're not under the water. They don't understand you. So I was like, I guess that, I thought it was clever and cute in a way, but like, it just kind of seems like unnecessary rules or something. Like, stuff that's just not really explained in this movie. It was just a funny haha moment. And it wasn't even really that funny. Passable movie, sure. Let's just say it at that and move on, I guess, to the news.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know what else to add to it, because, like, I don't know what else to say for it, because it's just like, I don't even want to say it's bland, but it's as close to bland as you could get.
Almost. I would kind of call it like cotton candy, where it's just really
Ah,
fluffed up sugar.
yes, but it dissolves easily.
Yeah. So, Doolittle's fine. It's okay. It's kind of funny. I'd say Robert Downey Jr. is personally my favorite part of the film, so there's that. So, yeah. Alright, we're moving on to news, because there's nothing else to talk about. So, unless anyone in chat has any questions...
Welcome to the news.
So, you have news things, I have news things.
We have 3, so you want to go you, me, you?
Sure. So, we'll
Alright.
start with, let's start with talking about some, General Kenobi.
Ah, General Kenobi.
So yeah, just so everybody
know that.
knows, yes. Surprise, the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series has been delayed indefinitely. So, that being said, they still plan to make this. They just need to completely rewrite the script for the entire season. Because the new director doesn't like it, because he thinks it's too similar to The Mandalorians.
That's fair.
Yeah. Because apparently, let me scroll down here. Let's see. Per Collider, An upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Blah, 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 oh, nope. That's when it was originally was via Collider. But let me find the there we go. The main concerns regarding the script reportedly stems from the plot having hewing too close to that of The Mandalorian, and that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, we'd see Obi-Wan lending a protective hand to young Luke Skywalker and possibly even a Leia Organa in lieu of the Baby Yoda.
That would break so much canon.
Mm-hmm. So what? And it's gotten to the point where they're just getting a whole new writer for the show. Like, they're like, all right, we like your scripts and all, but it's just too much like what we already have, so we're getting rid of you. We're doing somebody else. And they're dropping the amount of episodes for the first season, which it was going to be 6.
Now it's going to be 4.
Yes. Which is a little disappointing. But
The more I think about it, the more I don't know if this can work. I'm a huge Obi-Wan fan. We know this.
yes.
But the more I think about it, the more having a show for him doesn't quite work because you'd almost need him to go off-world. Which
He wouldn't do that?
I don't think he would.
Yeah. Like, after what, like...
Unless there's like some I don't know how this story would work.
From what I know about Obi-Wan is, which is very little, but he is a person who is so devoted to what he's done that like he'll give up the love of his life to be a Jedi, and once he's told what to do for his purpose, he would follow through with it usually. And he was told that to save the Jedi and to save the galaxy, to protect this child. So
during that time he's supposed to get really in tune with the Force.
Mm-hmm. And he's supposed to be... This is supposed to be a very difficult and trying time for him, too. Like, this is supposed to be where he's supposed to blend in, and he's supposed to sit out and, like, not do things. But he's constantly seeing people being oppressed and being, like, slaved upon. And it's, like, everything against him to interfere with what's going on. But
well, let's be real. The enslaving thing doesn't really bother the Jedi.
True, but still, there's supposed to be a lot of stuff happening. I've listened to some podcasts about what happens to Obi-Wan, and they all say that like during this period of time after the Jedi have fallen, is supposed to be the hardest time of his life, where he's debating all of the decisions he's ever made, and like.
Well, one of the big moments is the revelation he realized he failed because he hears the name Darth Vader, and he that like Darth Vader just killed this group of like uprisers on this backwater planet, and Obi-Wan like hears the name, he's like, "Fuck, I failed," and he searches through the Force, and you know the Force pretty much determines that like, yeah, no, you fucked up, bro. Anakin lived. You fucked. And like during that time too, he communes with Qui-Gon, and there's a point where like him and Qui-Gon, when Luke leaves the Sandcrawler, where the Jawas were killed, him and Qui-Gon have a conversation about. He's like, I'm sorry, I failed you, Qui-Gon. He's like, no, I failed you. I didn't prepare you for this. Like, this is on me too. Like, I should have been the one to train the boy. Let's be real.
I was gonna be, and then I died, and then whatever.
And like, a lot of it is like, you know, like he's like, you weren't ready to be a master. Like I pushed that upon you, because I wanted it to happen, and you weren't ready, and I'm sorry for that. It's kind of that conversation, and there's a lot of that. There's like the fact that he deals with PTSD after a war that happened, and seeing everyone he cares about die.
Yeah.
Like, literally everyone Obi-Wan gets an attachment to dies in the Clone Wars.
Like, I wish I could say you're exaggerating, but you think about it, you were not.
The only one he cares about after the war that survived, that he has a close bond with, is Yoda.
And they don't even really talk, except for maybe through the Force via projections, but...
If they even do that, we don't know. I don't know, man. Like it's a weird time because I don't. The only way I see this film happening is if it's a Obi-Wan who is distraught, not able to deal with things, and he's given up on the code
Mm-hmm.
and decides to leave. And then it's a redemption arc over 4 episodes for him to come back to it and realize, no, this is where I need to be.
Mm-hmm. But then I could see that maybe like that'd be the only way to excuse like maybe having this series in general. But then knowing anything afterwards, they would want more seasons. So what would we do after that? Like
They can't. Is the problem.
yeah.
This is literally like
How many years is it supposed to be after he drops off Luke before he runs into Maul again?
If I remember correctly, Rebels takes place, I want to say, 5-ish years before Battle of Yavin, if I remember correctly. I want to say it's 4 or 5 years before Battle of Yavin.
Okay, let's see.
Type when did Rebels take place?
Yeah, I see a little map that shows Rebels happening around the same time as New Hope and Rogue One.
Yeah, but it's not quite.
And then Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi are before that.
Rebels take place.
Huh.
Where are you, Wikipedia? Wikipedia.
I was just looking at that one right now. Do they really just go through the Clone Wars like every individual episode on this? That's a little obnoxious. So, Star Wars Rebels Ghost Raid and Star Wars Rebels Short 1 happened 5 years before the Battle of Yavin.
Okay, yeah. I think the show takes place about like over the span of a year ish.
Ezra,
Maybe a 2.
Ezra and the pilot happens. No. Yeah. Star Wars Rebels Season 1 Episode 6 still just says 5 years before the 5 years. Okay.
Yeah, Star Wars Rebels is approximately 14 years after the battle, the events of Revenge of the Sith, and which corresponds to about 5 years prior to the events of A New Hope. That's the Rebels later, Chopper later, alternately slated timeline 4 years prior to.
Jedi Fallen Order. That's cool. Okay. Either way.
Yeah, it
like,
takes place around 4 to 5 years before New Hope.
Yeah, either way, that would be the time period that they would have free reign to make their story, but only 4 to 5 years to make a TV series is not much time. Plus,
Well,
if it's
no, they
also
could have done it way before this. They could take. They have a 14-year gap from Sith to Rebels,
Okay.
and even then, I would give it a 10-year gap because it's Ewan McGregor, not quite Alec Guinness.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty much Alec Guinness in Rebels.
Okay.
So, he's a little bit younger than Alec Guinness was, like, look-wise in Rebels, but also he's a cartoon. So, but he has all white hair at that point. So,
But it's just hard to guess what timeline. It's just a bad idea, I guess, to make an Obi-Wan show. Is what you're saying? Is what?
as much fun as I've always wanted it to happen, the more I've thought about it, the more I've been like,
Would you have preferred it if they kept it as a movie, like they originally thought they were going to do?
Maybe, I don't know. Well, I mean, it's going to essentially be 2 movies.
Now,
I don't know. We'll see how it works out.
All right. In that case, we'll move on to our next little tidbit of news here, which is Disney reveals a new logo for 20th Century Studios. Which,
Hi.
yep, that's a follow-up from last week's as well.
Called it!
Yep, you're right. Check out this new logo here. 20th Century Studios.
Which means that from going forward, we can no longer have a 20th Century Fox where the X changes for the X-Men.
Oh, that's true. What they would do instead is they'll probably do like
The lights will cross.
yeah, they'll cross and they'll turn into an X. Exactly.
I already got you. I already got you 20th Century. Don't worry.
Yeah, you're
Here
welcome
for
for that. Our commission is $100 at least.
Minimum. Copyright being made now. No, like it's. I don't know, man. It's not a huge change. Let's be real. Like
Yeah,
people freaked out about, they're getting rid of their Fox Force. Like, I mean, it's still 20th Century. Be real.
It's still going to have pretty much the exact same it's still pretty much going to have the exact same content on it as was before. The only difference is it's now owned by Disney, but they're just not going to put the Disney name on it necessarily, just so they can have like a slightly edgier place to put different content.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, check out that news.
And then the last bit.
The last bit was everything coming out to Disney Plus this month. I brought this up specifically for Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So yeah, right. So yeah, everybody who has Disney Plus, be on the lookout because you're getting some pretty interesting things this month. Some of it is like okay, some of it's good movies like Toy Story 4. Other parts is a final season of a long-running cartoon series that people have wanted to watch for years. So
That's been like, I mean, it sort of had its close when it was on Netflix. We can say that. But it didn't at the same time. And now we're gonna get it. And it's called, the first episode is The Bad Batch. Which I'm so, like, having seen so much concept from that, like, the season that was planned to be that season, that never happened, and now it's happening, I'm so excited, because The Bad Batch is such a cool arc, and then we're gonna get Ahsoka back, and everyone loves Ahsoka, let's be real.
it's gonna be young Ahsoka too.
Yeah, it's gonna be slightly younger Ahsoka. Like, she's almost in her Rebels look, like, at this point. Like, she's almost an adult. She's as close to adult Ahsoka as we're gonna get.
Remind me if I'm wrong. At the end of season 6, didn't she leave the Jedi Order?
5.
5. Okay.
Yes. She left. I think she's not necessarily a Jedi in this. It's gonna be her, like, hey.
She'll be one of the monks of Jedi.
Well, it's more like that, like, she knows the war, and they need someone to help on this mission who can help with the 501st. Who was he going to ask to help run the 501st that wasn't Anakin Skywalker? Oh, Ahsoka Tano. Duh. She doesn't have to come back to be a Jedi, but, hey,
we need you as
we need you as a general because you know what you're doing. At the least a commander of some sort. Like, you know what you're doing. We need your help. And you know Mandalore, because you've been a part, you've been with Obi-Wan and Anakin throughout most of the war. You understand what happens here. We need your help. So she'll be on Mandalore when, and it'll.
This is when the big fight happens between Anakin and Obi-Wan, right? When he turns into Darth Vader, she's supposed to be on Mandalore during this mission.
Yes.
Yeah.
During this thing, it should be Order 66 should happen. People are theorizing that this will be Rex will figure out that he has a chip in his head during probably Bad Batch, get it removed. Maybe get some other troopers to get it removed. So that Ahsoka, it'll help explain why Rex isn't as crazy as some of the other troopers are at the in Rebels, because his chip never went off. Because the chip really Because imagine having a chip in your brain and it switches you to kill the people you've trusted for so long, and then it's shut back off. And during those moments, you're like, this is my only objective. The Jedi are evil. I need to kill them. And then it shuts off. And then you realize you've killed someone that has been there for you for a while. Like some of these commanders, like Wolf and stuff like that, had to deal with that. So, I'm interested to see.
Wasn't there like essentially a Imperial Civil War at one point between the clone soldiers and the new stormtroopers?
I don't really know. That's old canon, sort of. New
Okay.
canon, not 100% sure.
Okay. So let's say old. All I had to say was old canon, and be like, that makes sense. Doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. And then, so it should lead right up into Order 66, which also opens the idea. People are really hoping, because we're getting Ahsoka in this, that we might get Ahsoka in Mandalorian.
That'd be interesting. But the Mandalorian's supposed to take place after she sacrifices herself. No, she gets brought back later on.
And Sabine is seen at the end of Rebels getting in a ship with Ahsoka Tano. Now, Sabine is a Mandalorian who was one of the last two people to possess the Darksaber. She passed it off to the Duchess Satine's sister, who ended up with it, and then
Now Moff Gideon has it.
yes, which would be the perfect combination because David Fillion has helmed all of these shows.
I mean, it is a good through line. It could work. It really could work.
The Darksaber has been the through line. Like,
Our
why not?
MacGuffin.
why not, dude? Like, it's gone through. It's survived 3 different iterations: the Clone Wars animation, the Rebels animation, and now live action. Like, come on, let's see it.
Dude, like when it showed up in the live action, I was like, "What?"
Dude, I didn't expect that. That was completely out of nowhere. I was like, oh,
Like, don't get me
shit.
wrong. I thought when, like, spoilers for The Mandalorian, anyone who is still here and hasn't been spoiled for that yet, as soon as Moff Gideon's TIE fighter crashes, I was like, wow, they really wrapped up this movie kind of quick, this episode really quickly. It was like, all right, he's dead. Let's kind of walk away. So I was like,
I knew he wasn't dead.
yeah, I was like, he can't be dead, with how quickly they kind of just assumed he was dead and that the world was going to be safe to live in. And I was like, all right. But then he comes out of the wreckage with the fucking Darksaber, and I was like, oh.
Like, I expected him to come out, especially when they take the shot of the pod with the Jawas there. I'm like, oh yeah, he's coming out of there.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you just see this, like, thing cut through, and it took me a moment to process. I'm like, what the?
Yeah, you just see this dark thing with
Oh.
the white
Oh,
outline.
no.
Mhm.
Oh, no. So, yeah, no. I'm hoping that with these two things almost lining up, it would be the perfect time to have a live action Ahsoka, especially given that she did show up at, she sort of has, there's some, she's connected to main canon too in a lot of ways, so it would be a good through line, and it could explain why, it could help with the Baby Yoda stuff, because she's not a Jedi. Who else would take that? Who else other than Luke could take the Baby Yoda? Because also, guess whose voice doesn't show up in Rise?
Ahsoka's?
Ezra's.
Yeah, we talked about that.
You want to know what Sabine and Ahsoka's mission when they leave? They're planning to go do? Find Ezra.
So you think at some point here, you're hypothesizing that at some point, Sabine and Ahsoka are going to run into Mando, who's currently having the Baby Yoda, and they're going to save Ezra and get the Darksaber at the same time?
You know how fucking awesome this show would be if they do this?
That would be a pretty intense crossover.
And it would be such a payoff for David Fillion's literal trilogy of shows.
That'd be pretty cool. I'd watch that. I'd have to rewatch all this stuff.
It would be so fucking awesome, though.
That'd be pretty cool. I'll give you that. I'll genuinely give you that. I hadn't thought about that. That's pretty cool.
This is the way my mind works. fabricating lines that may not exist yet, but I'm hoping.
Either that or you took it off of like Funhouse or something.
No, I've been thinking about this ever since the Darksaber showed up because it makes sense. Because Sabine and Ahsoka at the end of Rebels, which is after Endor, are seen being like, "Hey, we're gonna go find Ezra." And also the ghost shows up in Rise as well in the background. So General Syndulla is still alive, which means also Chopper is still alive.
So Rise of the Skywalker
Takes place years later,
like,
which means Ezra could still be alive.
yeah, the Mandalorian. What year
is
does that take place?
About the same age as Luke. Ezra and Luke are very close in age. So if Luke is still alive in that trilogy, most of the way,
too.
Ezra can definitely and we don't hear his voice. Like, he's alive.
Yeah, so
That's confirmation right there because we hear Kanan.
yeah, but my guess then is like, because the Mandalorian takes place we'll say like 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, like we said.
Rebels does.
Rebels
Mando,
does,
I would
not
say,
hard.
takes place at max.
Where's the Battle?
4
of Yavin?
years.
Why does this thing not show the Battle of Yavin on here?
I don't know, man.
I'm
That's
trying
just that's a New Hope. Just episode 4 is Battle of Yavin. So Rebels takes place about 5 years before that, and Ezra is a teenager in that, which means also Luke is 19 in New Hope. He's a young teen in that as well. So him and Ezra are pretty much the same age.
I can, like, my only question is, so we're gonna get you're thinking we'll get a not middle age. We'll get maybe I'm trying to guess how old Ahsoka would be around the time of Mandalorians.
Oh,
Maybe like 20s, 30s.
Oh, she's older than that because it would have been. She's a teenager in Clone Wars, which it'll take place around Episode 3. Go another 14 years past that for Rebels, so she's 30.
Sorry, yeah.
In that,
Yeah.
so 50-year-old, wise monk style Ahsoka.
Wise
Which
Monk
you
is
kinda
still
see-
searching for Ezra?
At the end of Endor's, that's what she started doing. She stayed in hiding during all of it because of the whole time thing that happened. And she didn't. She knew if she interfered going forward that it could mess things up. So she didn't interfere until after the Battle of Endor, after Vader was defeated. Because she knew she can come out of hiding. Because if she didn't come out of hiding, Anakin was gonna be like, "Yo, Ahsoka, dark side, come on, come on." Which she didn't want to do that. And there was always she felt that there's a chance she could have fallen to Anakin, like of anyone.
According to the extended universe comic books, like Palpatine and Darth Vader comic books, there's moments where Darth Vader's just sitting there like, "Miss Ahsoka. She was a cool person. I kind of miss hanging out with her."
And he could have taken her. He could have easily have taken her to the dark side if Ezra didn't either if he didn't kill her in that fight or if Ezra didn't pull her into the time zone, weird place. So with that, I think she would be like 50 at the Battle of Endor, right? No, she'd be like mid 30s, early 40s area. Okay.
Okay.
So probably in her 40s when if she showed up in Mando. Because the original trilogy takes place over like 5 years, I think.
It's just time is
4 years?
confusing sometimes, especially when they added time travel.
The timeline was much easier in Legends, actually. Fun fact. To keep track of what eras were. The new canon has been yeah, this happened around here. Thanks. You're not gonna give me a...
Approximately this time, not exact times. We could give you a star date, but we're not going to.
Well, the other thing too is it used to be how old canon was defined was before or after Battle of Yavin.
Yes, I do remember that part.
BYU and AYU. Or AYE. or
Wasn't it
Before-
BBY and then
yes, BBY and before Battle of Yavin and
ABY?
yes, hold on.
Yeah, open
I
up
had
your encyclopedic Bible of.
No, I don't need the encyclopedia. I need. Hold on. I haven't busted this one out in a while. No, that's the wrong one.
If they made new versions of that with new canon, I'd probably buy those.
And we'll bust out the new chronological guide to the Star Wars galaxy.
Made one.
Usually has a trademark on the back, right?
Yeah, it usually says like copyright date or something.
2005.
Cool. So the new
So
book.
just after episode 3.
Yeah, a brand new book that came out in 2005.
Fuck you, this was new at one point.
It was, yeah. I'm just criticizing that it says new in the title.
Yeah, it was BBY and then ABY, yeah.
Okay. So, I guess.
Yeah.
Be excited for that coming out to Disney Plus and possibly getting even more awesome things when Mandalorian Season 2 comes out on Disney Plus. If Dev's theories are correct.
If my theory's correct, can like Jesus, like I will start predicting more. But my predictions have been pretty good so far.
Sometimes,
like,
yeah. Like, you'll
most
get
of my
some good
predictions.
ones.
My Infinity War predictions, my Endgame predictions have all been very good. My Marvel, Star Wars, and like
It's like
random.
you understand Disney somehow.
Fuck, he's on to me. We need to end the show.
Are you a Disney princess?
Shit.
I'm in charge. Oh, damn it. He beat me. All right.
Dev, you fucked up. You let him on. Mickey, please. I'm sorry, man. Like,
All right. We don't have time
it's
for this
caught on
bit.
to me. Oh, he's got time for this. You little fucking shit. Little bitch.
If you don't have a black eye when that camera
Go
comes
ahead.
on, Mickey's
Go
laughing.
ahead and end the show, Steven.
All
Little
right.
bitch. He's gonna get beat.
Can you at least mute it so it doesn't? We don't have to hear it, Mickey. Please.
Sure.
You're family friendly, right? Well, while Dev's getting his ass beat for being found out as a Disney spy or whatever the hell he is, give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, follow us on Discord, and check out our YouTube where we post the VODs, and follow us on Twitter, and all that fun stuff. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this week. I hope you enjoyed what you saw, and we'll see you guys next week with a brand new episode. Where I forgot to discuss what we were going to show, but I'll just announce it on Twitter, where we're at least going to talk, I think, the rhythm segment. So, talk to you guys later, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.